institution. So Sahib was working there with those two professors, Maureen and Tifu, right? And so Fakir Sahib said to me that Jimmy Bhai would drop Sahib at that place, but in the evening, Fakir Sahib would go on the public transport to bring Alama Sahib back. So he could either take him to his apartment, which was very small, or he could bring him to my apartment, which was much bigger. And not only that, as a student, you have plenty of time, really. You know how to arrange your time, right? You only have so many classes, my most demanding subject was Arabic. The rest was easy, right? Arabic is the one I had to really work like your daughter has worked, right? Lift base. So I had plenty of time, so I would cook, and I would also invite other Ismaili students. They would all come, and we would sit on the floor with a circular dastakhan, tablecloth, and we would eat together. And Sai would talk as well about knowledge, right? And then Jimmy Bhai would come to my place to pick Sahib up, or Fakir Sahib would accompany Alama Sahib to Jimmy Bhai's house. So that's how I met Alama Sahib, right? And the impression on me was very, very deep. I remember Sahib was very very difficult to describe him, but because for me, Hunzai and Hunzai Ismailis was a new subject. Dr. Sahib is also from Hunza, but he had lived outside Hunza for so long, right? But Alama Sahib was not like that, right? Okay, Alama Sahib had also lived in Karachi, but Alama Sahib was very much a Hunza personality, right? And as a Hunza personality, plus the resurrection that he had gone through and his knowledge, he impressed me as a father. And in fact, we used to call him Bapa to begin with. It's much later that I started calling Buzurgwar Sahib. I started calling him Bapa, thinking first because I had lost my own father a long time ago, at a very young age, and so for me, Alama Buzurgwar was like a father, right? And he remembers, he used to share this with many people. So when I was serving food, I would sit next to him, and one day he had a bit of food on his chin, and I picked up the napkin and I wiped it from. And he told many people that this is what Rashida did to me, right? That I wiped his chin with her napkin. So mine was a very father-daughter relationship, to be honest. As I began to understand his knowledge more and more, and Fakir Sahib also told me more and more, then this changed to more a teacher, mu'allim, student relation. But in the beginning, for me, Alama Sahib was like a father.
Okay, Mama. So now again, the next question is: would you please also share the circumstances that led to your marriage with Sahib? The story of your marriage. We want to listen.
This was something completely unexpected as well. So I returned to United Kingdom in 82. Fakir Sahib came in 83. And again, for 1 year, we went back to university. The institute now sent us to the London School of University of London Institute for Education, to do a advanced curriculum course, right? So we were treated as students again. And the IS also treated Fakir Sahib like a student, right? Because he didn't finish his PhD, and anyway, they don't have that sort of respect for knowledge, right, which one would expect. So Fakir Sahib, myself, Gulshan Merchant, Rahman Brenner, who are also with me in the education, we all shared a house together, right? We were all living in a house. And I used to tell Fakir Sahib that he should really settle down and bring his wife from Hunzai. I didn't know much about Hunzai. I didn't know that in those days Hunzai women were illiterate. I didn't know that. And so I thought that she would be a normal woman, right? And that she would be able to manage her life in Britain. And Fakir Sahib doesn't really give you any details. So he never said, look, my wife is not learned, she has never gone to school, she only speaks a Shinaki language, and she has never stepped outside of Nasirabad. He didn't tell me any of this. So I kept on insisting, and eventually he brought her. And so he moved into a flat with her. And she didn't know how to turn the gas on. She didn't know how to turn the electricity on. She didn't know how to use a lift. She didn't know anything, right? And she didn't know the language. So we could only talk to her through sign language. And it was very difficult. And Fakir Sahib would leave at 8 o'clock in the morning and come back at 9 p.m. She was alone. And so what happened is that she was going into a depression. She was hearing voices from the walls and things like that, right? And particularly she missed the children of our Dr. Sahib's younger brother had all these children, right? 6 girls and 2 boys, 8 children. So she missed all those children. They were like her own children. So eventually Fakir Sahib had to take her back. And when he came back, he said to me once, we were in the Aga Khan Ismaili Center in London, we were sitting in the social hall, across like this, from this sofa to this sofa, and he said to me, you put me into a lot of trouble and expense bringing my wife here, and it hasn't worked. Mm-hmm. Now you should help me. This is how he proposed.
Oh.
So many people think that this was a big romance,
Mm-hmm.
But it isn't like that at all. It's simply a matter of convenience.
Yes,
That Fakir Sahib needed some support and help, right? Because his work is very important. At the same time, he has no idea of how to lead a life, right? Mm-hmm. He had always been a student in Montreal. Montreal Jamaat had really looked after Fakir Sahib, really spoiled him. Other members of the Jamaats in various parts of the world, America, had spoiled Fakir Sahib, But he's on his own. Mm-hmm. He didn't know how to use the electricity meter in London once, right? Before I met him, right? And he ran out of money. He had no 50p coins to put into the machine, so there was no electricity. So he worked with a candle. This is the type of thing he did, right? Even now, if one of the bulbs goes, I have to get on a ladder and change it. Fakir Sahib is useless. He is an academic, right? You give him a manuscript, he's brilliant with it, right? But when it comes to these practicalities, Fakir Sahib has no idea whatsoever, right?
Having heard about your life, we now know that you have been staunch in your faith since childhood. However, we're still curious, what was it that inspired you to volunteer and spend your entire life to give your services to these talimat?
My family background, I think. My mother, even in her most financially constrained time, was very, very staunch in her belief in Hazrat Imam, in the Ismaili faith. She was very pure in her zakat, male wajibat, and her love for the Imam was just overflowing. I remember that Kenya used to have grapes from South Africa at a certain season. So in our family, 1 box of grapes would come That's it, right? One box. But before you could touch those grapes, my mother would pick out the best bunch for mehmani, right? So you grow up with that. Then you grow up with the fact that 12 noon, my mother would come out of the kitchen, put her pachedi on, cover her head, close her eyes, and stand in a corner and recite her tasbih. Very, very, staunch and very disciplined about it. So this is what you grow up with. But then, like I've already said, that on my father's side, my uncle was a very great missionary. He converted thousands of Hindus into the Ismaili Tariqa. Yes, his name was Ali Muhammad Dahiya, right? Fakir Sahib knew him in Karachi, yeah? And on my mother's side, my uncle, that is my mother's younger sister's husband, was the second diwan. The first diwan was in India. The second diwan was in my uncle. And he had very close relations with the Imam and the family of the Imam, right? So we used to hear stories all the time. And Prince Ali Khan was so close to my uncle that we were in apartments in this older building. Next to it, they built a newer version. The foundation stone was laid by Prince Ali Khan. And Prince Ali Khan came to Mombasa and visited the Ismaili cafeteria opposite our house. So we all stood in the balcony and we saw Prince Ali Khan and Rita Hayworth. So this type of upbringing. On my mother's side, again, my uncle was the president of the Kenya Council. And these two, my mother's brother and my mother's sister's husband, they are both in that photograph of the Golden Jubilee in Nairobi behind Maulana Sultan Shah's throne. And they are also in that picture where Maulana Hazar Imam is leading the Eid namaz at the age of 7 in Nairobi. There are two men standing behind. Those are my uncles, right? Okay. So service, later on my brother who passed away last year, he was Mukhi of the our town Jamaat Khana in Mombasa, and Hazar Imam came to give Didar there. So I've grown up in an atmosphere where my family members have done special service for the Imam of the time, right? So this is why I was always drawn towards serving. And when it comes to serving in the field of knowledge, esoteric knowledge, Quranic knowledge, Ruhani science, then, this is unique, right? Like Alama Buzurgwar used to say that, if there is something which is not being done by anybody, why should you not take it upon yourself to do that? He used to give that example of a farmer. He has a farm and he is cultivating it. But next door, there is a piece of land nobody is bothered about. It's just wild. So one day this farmer decides, why don't I also cultivate that field? That's the case with esoteric knowledge, that there are not many people who are doing anything about it, right? So this is a unique form of service which is not being done by enough people. So we who have been privileged to have this talimas from Alama Buzurgwar, we should undertake this service, right?
So the question is, you have lived a major part of your life in London, rendering services for IIS and as well as translation of Buzurgwar's books, lectures and whatnot. In this tenure, you have also hosted Buzurgwar in your place. Please tell us, how was your experience during that time?
Yes, I'm not exactly sure how many times, but at least maybe 3 times Sahib stayed with us. Yes, the way Sahib led his life. His routine was that he would get up at 3 a.m. and he would do his ibadah for 2 hours, right? Not like us from 4 to 5, right? He would do ibadah for 3 hours. At 5:15, Fakir Sahib would go and give him a cup of tea and a couple of salt biscuits, right? And then Sahib would pick up his notepad and start writing, right? So that would be about around 6 o'clock. By 9 o'clock, Sahib would have written an article of 4 pages because he never corrected his stuff, right? If his pen slipped, he had these small white pieces of sticky paper. He would put it there and rewrite on it, right?
Okay.
So his article was ready by 9 a.m. Fakir Sahib would take that article, translate it, and then go to the IIS. And I would take that translation with me to the Tariqa board, and I would type it there and bring the printout of it, right? The download copy of it, right? In the evening, around 8:30, 9 o'clock, lots of Jamaati members would gather in our apartment. And I would read out, Sai would give me the command to read out that article, and then there would be questions and answers, right? Which may finish about 11 or 11:30. Then Sai would have his food, and then by the time he went to bed, it would be past midnight. So he only slept 3 hours, right? And similarly, we too, because we are also serving him, would have the same amount of sleep to begin with, right? Yes, it was a very special time, but I don't think Sahib knew that we were not capable of doing this for months and months. So he only stayed for 3-4 weeks, right? Yeah.
As Ustad Muazzam says, तर्जुमों में शक नहीं समसाम का भी हाथ है, शुक्र है सदशुक्र है, हाँ वो फरिश्ता साथ है. Bahrul Uloom Sahib and yourself have played an important role in spreading this Qiyamati Talimat of Imam of the time, which was the sacred mission given to Ustad-i Buzurgwar Alama Nasiruddin Nasir Hunzai Sahib. Could you take us back to when you decided the books need a wider audience and they should be translated? In other words, could you take us on a journey of these translations?
Well, as you know, Dr. Sahib was already he started doing the translations while he was in McGill. And in fact, it's very interesting that his translation of 100 questions and answers was actually accepted by McGill as part of his PhD coursework. He had already done 8 questions and Zikr Ilahi as well, right? Divine Remembrance. So when he came back to London, and I was already there in 82, I had started my course in 82 at the University of London. He came in 83, and he was always constantly working on Sahib's material. So I told you, it was interesting that I had learned to do touch typing. You see, if you look back on what I've done, then you can see that there's a plan. Why would I need touch typing, right? So with touch typing, I was a pretty fast typist, right?